Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
I thought I had a few more seconds. How's everybody doing? Looks like there's several coming in. The little number thing just keeps jumping around. So I always know there's more than it says because a lot of people just come in and lurk because as soon as we go off, um, whenever I go over to monetize it, it it says that we'll have like 100 more than what was in the chat. So anyway, got lots of lurkers. Some of them probably trolls. It's like, oh well. So how's everybody doing today? Good, I hope. It's only 84 degrees again today. I haven't even really been outside. It's kind of cloudy looking. I don't know. Just kind of yuck, you know. Hey, David, good to see you. Waving. So, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing good. Just drop something in the chat and let me know how everybody's doing sometime. So, today, this little talk that we're going to do is brought to you by David, actually. He requested it about 3 times, and I tell you what, after I hit about the 11-hour mark on my research, I was ready to go hunt him down and not be very nice. Let's just put it that way. But, yeah, it is a crazy story, and I was just telling Mischief that, like, I know more than I ever knew because I didn't know anything about it, but, I also feel like I don't really know much. So, we'll have some questions at the end to kinda see if you all feel any dumber than I do or as dumb as I do, because I'm just like, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, what I do know is fascinating, but it is gonna be a little conspiracy theory here, y'all. So, you know, there is that, and I guess every good conspiracy theory leaves you at the end of finding out everything you can find out about it, still not sure if it was, what it was. So, what the hell? That's what I just in fact, I started off my little notes as I'm like, "What the hell are we even talking about?" Because I really just don't even know if I know. So, anyway, I'm gonna check in with the chat. It's called The Finders, and, there's all kinds of stuff that's says Finding the Finders. There's books out about it, but the books and everything that are written were written back before everything disappeared. But, because what happened was all this story was in the newspaper and everything. and then it and then and then it they pretty much everything got stripped. I mean, anything, any kind of internet stuff and all that, it just kind of got stripped. And so the only people that really have all the information are people that had the information to begin with or had ways to get it. So there is that. I was also telling um, Mischief that we get together before the show, and I like tell her you wouldn't believe what I had to do to get this information. And so anyway, I looked everywhere I could. I was on the computer, like, trying to find anything I could, everywhere I could look and everything. Couldn't find anything. I finally, I'm not gonna lie, I gave up and I went to that Chat GPT, and I would punch in something and it would say that it went against their standards. And I would change the way, because it would say reword it, blah blah blah. I'd reword it, change, put it in there again, same thing. Finally, I got it to tell me stuff, but about I go to scroll to see the rest of it, and it would disappear, and it would say it went against their standards. So, dummy, Susie, dummy that I am, I'm like, hell no, you're not going to get away with this. So I would say, oh, I lost that information. Could you bring it back up? And so it'd bring it up, and I would hit the picture, take a screenshot real fast. And then I would do some more and screenshot it real fast before it would disappear. So I got a bunch that way. And then I actually, once you had some of that information, you could ask other questions and it would give me that information. But a lot of it wasn't very good. And then I did find some online. There was a little bit, mainly a couple of pictures, very few, but I do have those. I will show you those too. So anyway, I'm going to check in with the chat and then we are going to get started because this is it's interesting, y'all. I don't know. It was interesting. And David, I'm sorry, you may know as much as I know, and I spent a lot of hours searching. So, if there's more, you have to put something in the chat and we'll talk about that too. So if any of y'all know anything about it, I'll check back with you, I promise. So I did put a trigger warning on here for sensitive content just because there are mention of animal sacrifice and child SA. They don't give any kind of details on either. But if either of those are just something that you just absolutely, it's a no, it's a hard no. But honestly, it wasn't bad. It doesn't give any details. And I'm certainly not. So anyway, so David, I think I've said your name about 6 times now. Everybody knows you're here. You're probably like, "What? What? Why does she keep saying my name?" Anyway, Mischief is in the back, so we're always glad to have her. She will be starring comments, so please put those C's or Q's in front of your comment or question so that it makes it easier for her. Because sometimes we get a lot and sometimes we don't, but you just never know, and it just makes it so much easier. Y'all have been so good about doing that too. I thank you guys a lot, really. So, Mare, always good to see you. Heat my shorts. Hello. Yeah. Hello to you. So, let's see here. Yeah. Here we go. I'll pop that one up there. This is some crazy stuff. Why I think the CIA has its hands in Scientology. I do too. You and I have that alike, and well, I'll tell my opinion on this one afterwards, but I want to get some other opinions too. But anyway, it's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Hey, John, good to see you. Brazy, hello. Trying to get past the ones I've already spoke to. Just a quiet, peaceful dance. Always good to see you. Blah, blah, whatever. I love that name because I'm always like, blah, 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 whatever. Whatever. My husband's like, whatever. Between you and your blah, blah and your whatevers. That's when we're not getting along. It's like, yeah, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Or sometimes I'll be like, wah, 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 wah. Bless his heart. Right? Yeah. Evie, always good to see you too. You're always like the first one in the comments after the video. I just think that is so cute. If you're not there yet, I'm like, "Where's Evie? Is what's going on?" Kristen M, good to see you. Very good to see you. Thank you for mentioning the mods in the chat. Thank you so much. Hmm. Let's see. Y'all are chatting. That's good. I love that. Are you sorry, David, for making me do so much research? Oh, you do? Funny. Mm, they're not near as clever as they think. I gotta get a sip. I'm sorry. I've got like a tickle in my throat today. I think it's just allergies. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, yeah. You have maple trees turning orange. It's 104 to 60. Wow. Yeah, Mother Nature is confused. This has been the strangest so far, spring and summer for us. Yeah, that is strange, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it took you 2 seconds because of a certain thumbnail. Yeah, it just I don't know. I've got a fly that is buzzing me and it's driving me nuts. So if you see me like, you know, I'm not like tweaking. I'm just like being attacked by a fly. Oh, you do know a bit about it, David? That's cool. That is cool. Oh, apartments in Ecuador for sale with security and all. Well, it's still for sale, but that's where they stood. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of information we're going to talk about. I think it's Tuesday that we're going to do one. I'm kind of excited about these. I've got this new little idea. I was telling my mods, I kind of made up a word, but I'm calling it debunction junction, and we're going to debunk things. And so, um, there's two that I've got now, but I was telling Mischief, I said, my goodness, we could debunk anything. There's a lot of stuff we could debunk that doesn't have anything to do with Brett or Reese or anybody. But the first two I'm doing for fun because I'm gonna debunk a little bit about the clap. So I'm doing that one at 8 o'clock on Friday, I think, instead of my normal 6:30 my time. And then I'm gonna debunk some of the stuff that Brett said, or I don't know, give facts basically, and you know, just have a little bit of fun with it. So anyway, that's Tuesday. The other one is I think Friday. Just you'll have to check on my channel to make sure because things tend to get moved around. If anything, comes up, I move stuff around like if it's something that needs to go earlier. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this off real quick. Yeah. Oh goodness. My sinuses or my allergies, whatever it is driving me crazy. I'm trying to run through here real fast and just see if there's people that I Nope, looks like I got everybody that's here in the chat. So y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get started. That's 14, almost 15 minutes in. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna just try to do this. And seriously, y'all forgive me for not having all the answers because I tried. Okay, I tried. I should have got with David and had him here too. So whenever I say stuff, he could say stuff. So, but anyway, we'll maybe he'll come on another time and we'll talk about it. So anyway, like I said, my first thought is, what the hell even is this group? What are we talking about? So, um, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna put a lot of it up just like I got it, um, because I don't want to. I've got the sources are sourced and everything, and I don't want I don't want the CIA coming after me. Let's just put it that way. I don't think there's anything in there that they would, but Ooh, I'm eating cherries. I love cherries. We have a cherry tree actually. So, and we got the first. I was so surprised. It seems early, but we got 3 peaches off of our peach tree already, and it just seems really early, and the apples are there, but they're not ready yet. That'll be this fall, but we have about I'm trying to think. They line our driveway, and there's about 12 or maybe 14 different fruit trees all down our driveway. So, and then we're gonna put, um, I've got these. Oh, I can't remember what they're called. Fat Albert pines. Okay, I've got these Fat Albert pines, and I don't know why that's moving in and out. I'm not touching anything. So anyway, the I'm gonna do Fat Albert pines down the. There's about 12, 13, or 12 or 1400 feet down there, and I'm gonna do that in those trees because they look like a pine tree, but they're real fat. The branches and needles and everything are really fat and just they're beautiful. I just love them. But I'm growing them from seeds, so they're gonna take a while. That's gonna be probably a couple of years before I get that. Did you see it move too? Heat? I don't know what it was. I don't know. My granddaughter was in here, so she might have bumped something, or I don't know. I don't know what it was. So I who knows? But I was like, "What the hell is going on?" Uh, so anyway, we're gonna talk about the finders, or finding the finders, because finding them is what's hard. So so I'm gonna start off with some of the things that I know are real. The finders were real. Okay. The FBI even wrote all their information down, and looked into them and everything, and then they redacted all that information to the point that you can't even really make sense of what it says. I mean, you can't make out full sentences because there's so much stuff that is, you know, redacted. So, anyway, but today we're going to follow the breadcrumbs, y'all, and we're going to try to see if we can find them. But I'm telling you, the facts are scarce. So, why the hell did this whole thing vanish from everything? Newspaper records that got seized, internet searches that lead nowhere. Just, it's a mess. And I'm not going to lie, it's almost a little bit scary just how little bit of information is actually out there. And you can tell when you're looking into stuff that people know things about it, but they're not talking. And so I don't know why they're not talking. It doesn't feel like people are scared. It just feels like that they know they're not supposed to talk. So anyway, so basically this is going to be a cult, but also a mystery. It's from the 80s, y'all. And anyway, it became the foundation for a lot of modern conspiracy theories, especially where, children, minors are um, included in that, like the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and, a whole lot of those sort of things, and other cults. So, what we're talking about, it has cult vibes, but it's never actually been declared a cult. And we'll go into that a little bit. There was FBI raids. There was rumors of ritual abuse with goats and whispers of a CIA cover up. Maybe not so much whispers. That seems to be what everybody thinks, is that there was a CIA cover up. And I'll tell you a secret, and it's in here on part of it. The FBI didn't help with that either, because they actually leaked, or, an FBI um, audio was leaked. And, that led to some questions too. So, anyway, let's get started. I want to make sure I don't miss any of my cues, because I've got cues on when I need to show a couple of slides or pictures or something. So it started in the 70s and it started in Washington, D.C. And it was founded by an ex Air Force sergeant named Marion Pettit, or Petty. I'm sorry. I know a family named Pettit. So I say that wrong every time. Marion Petty. So, yeah. And they called themselves an intentional community. And they focused on self exploration, theater renovation, and futuristic living. They were a small, tight group who, at their peak, y'all, at their peak, they only numbered 20 adults and 7 children. So, yeah, very small. I do want to show this because my first question was, and I'm going to take this down. Just don't forget, we have a trigger warning, y'all. But I can't, if I leave this up, I can't see it. And so, anyway, I'm going to read this off. Good luck, right? Okay, who was Marion G. Petty? Born in 1920, Marion Petty was a former U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant retiring in 1956. And that I got that from Wikipedia. So he founded the Finders in the late 1960s or the early 1970s in Washington, D.C. as an intentional community blending New Age philosophy, theater, and experimental communal living. Known internally as the Game Caller or Stroller, Petty structured members' lives as games aimed at spiritual or personal development. The children received instructions from a man they called a game caller or game leader, which was the Tallahassee police noted of Petty. So that was in a, and there'll be a, you'll understand why we're talking about Tallahassee when it was in Washington, D.C. It's all going to come clear pretty soon. Okay. So his son, George Petty, said the commune operated as a communal child rearing experiment. Children were often separated from their mothers and lived outdoors or in communal spaces. And when I say outdoors, I mean outdoors. Like they lived outside. The best I can find is that they had some sort of lean to type structures, but they were more like teepees. They said that they thought children should be raised like Indians on the plains, you know. I'm like, dude, it was a long ass time ago. So anyway, Marion Petty's wife. Oh, I have a delivery coming. Anyway, Marion Petty's wife, Isabel. Isabel, isn't that the same? Yeah, it's the same spelling. I don't know why they changed it. Anyway, so Isabel Petty, Marion's wife, who died in 1984, was reportedly employed by the CIA from 1952 to 1961. This connection fueled speculation that the Finders could have been a CIA front, serving as agent recruitment or mind controlling training. So there is that. And they never prove whether that's true or not. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. So, okay, I was going to do this one. Go ahead and cover their belief system and structure. Intentional community blended New Age thinking, Eastern mysticism, and human potential philosophy. I am sorry, y'all. My nose is just itching so bad. If I'd have taken medicine, though, I'd be like, So, led by Marion Petty, dubbed the Game Caller or Student Stroller, members believe in life as a continual game meant to build resilience and spiritual insight. Their teachings including raising children as Indians on the plain, outdoors and unstructured, very unstructured. Like, you know, we talk about feral. This, I mean, this is like feral, like very, okay? So, sexual norms, women initiated relationships, not men, which is different. Emphasis on psychic awareness, communal living, and ritualistic games. Yeah, everything was a game. It was just really bizarre. So, how they made their money, because all these little cults are, culty acting things, they gotta have money somewhere, right? So, they operated various business ventures, including Global Press, a computer consulting and journalism company in DC. Some members worked for Future Enterprises, which was later revealed as a CIA contractor, fueling speculation of government ties. See, there's another that is kind of strange that they've got multiple connections to the CIA. So, founders claimed funds were pooled in an invisible bank used to finance group projects, travel, and communal living. Former member Robert Toby Terrell noted the group shifted over time into a more military like structure, with Pettit maintaining tighter control over finances. And we've got one more that we're going to look at, and then we will move on. So, did the kids live outside? Yes. This was central to their child rearing philosophy. Children often slept outdoors, living on farms and communal property rather than traditional homes. Children were reportedly weaned from mothers, slept outside while the mothers inside. I, mm, mm. So, arrested children, which they weren't, the children weren't literally arrested. The men were arrested and the children were taken into protective custody, but it said arrested children, so I left it. They were in Tallahassee, were described as dirty, unkept, underfed, and had difficulty recognizing everyday items like telephones or even toilets. A Tallahassee police report or detective, I'm sorry, said of Pettit, "We kids sleep outside and the moms sleep inside. Mr. Pettit weans the kids from their mom." So, yeah. Ugh. Anyway, daily life in a group or in group dynamics. Goodness. Day to day life revolved around continuous games, practical tasks, emotional trials, and travel. Used computer work, journalism, and data gathering to sustain their lifestyle. Pettit designed it as a pressure cooker style community, keeping people active and occupied to control group behavior. Over time, many women and their children left post 1987, shrinking the group and transforming it into a smaller, more insular organization. So, anyway, so now we're going to talk about the Tallahassee thing. So we're going to figure out what happened in Tallahassee, right? On February 4th of 1987, two very sharply dressed men, their names were Ammerman and Hallwell. I didn't write his name down. Ammerman and Hallwell. They were stopped driving a van containing six very underfed children aged 2 to 11. They said that they were teachers and that they were taking the kids to a special school in Mexico. The kids were confused and they were unfamiliar with everyday items, again, like telephones, toilets, ink pens. They didn't know what any of that stuff was. So, yeah. So, we're going to look at a couple of slides that talk about the Tallahassee thing real quick. Again, I don't mind filling in some stuff, but I went ahead and left a lot of it. So, whenever I was reading about it and found out that they had gotten stopped in this van, I thought, well, why did they get stopped? Were there already suspicions about them? Were they doing something weird? What was the deal that they got stopped for? And yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. So, here's what triggered the stop. A witness saw two well dressed men in the public park appearing out of place with six scruffy, dirty, emotionally detached children. They said the kids were like zombies, like they just kind of just walked around, like they didn't act like they knew anything was going on. So anyway, the children were malnourished, unbathed, and appeared confused about basic objects. The men refused to give clear answers about the children's identities or their destination. Police were called due to concerns about possible child abuse or trafficking. So, where they say if you see something, say something. That's what happened here. So, yeah, somebody in a park saw something and said something. So, yeah. And that's the US Customs report, Tallahassee Democrat, FBI files, vault, a lot of different stuff in there. Yeah, I am so glad that people said something. I am too. So, what the police observed, the children seemed underfed, unfamiliar with technology, and showed signs of neglect. The van contained maps, computer equipment, and notes referring to planned trips and education. And those are in quotes. The two men were uncooperative and unable to produce identification or medical records for the children. So, outcome of the stop, Hammerman and Howell, was it Howell? I thought it was Holwell. It says Howell here, but I'm pretty sure it's Holwell, but it could be different. I'm sorry. Anyway, were arrested and charged with child abuse and neglect. The children were taken into protective custody, and the case escalated quickly to involve federal agencies, FBI, Customs, and the CIA. No long-term charges were filed, though, and the case was dropped, and due to insufficient criminal evidence. Yeah. So don't get too happy down there, Mischief. She was clapping and now she's like, ugh. Yeah. And so guess where the kids went? Back to their moms. So anyway, then this one says what they said. So this is talking about the kids. Mary, the oldest, told investigators they lived together in DC and with their mothers, but traveled with the caretakers. They learned through games, doing tasks, and rewards like food. So they were rewarded with food. They must have not been getting rewarded very often because these kids were sickly looking. Yeah, if the Tallahassee event hadn't occurred and Customs Agent Martinez, we would know none of this. You're absolutely right, David. Absolutely. So, what happened to them? After their rescue, the children were placed in protective custody. The mothers were contacted, and the children were returned to them within weeks. Charges against Hammerman and Howell. See, it says Howell now. It's been spelt different 3 times, so I don't know. But the charges were dropped, and the case closed due to lack of criminal evidence. In court documents, a judge ordered 3 of the 6 children immediately returned to their mothers, marking a partial victory for the parental rights. Okay, why their story matters. It raised ethical concerns about communal child rearing and unusual lifestyles. No evidence of sexual or ritual abuse were found, even with disturbing imagery discovered during raids. But, y'all, it says that it wasn't found, but in some of the newspaper deals that I read, it says that it was suspected. And then all of a sudden it said, no, there wasn't any. So, coming from my background, and I'm only dealing with, local police and sheriff's offices, sometimes the state police, but not the FBI or the CIA. They don't say that sexual abuse was suspected lightly, because that's just kind of one of those that you can't put the lid back on that, because even if you are proven innocent, it's still out there. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. But it also says, okay, there was disturbing imagery discovered during the raids, and we're going to get to that in just a minute, which is another thing of there was disturbing now they said that there was not any pictures of any actual, essay going on, but there was very disturbing imagery. And so I'm like, what was that? What was that? And why did these guys just, nothing, it's fine. Yeah, Mischief. So, And it says that the kids' testimony and physical appearance triggered international conspiracy theories and fueled the satanic panic of the late 80s. Absolutely. That was a big deal. If y'all remember the one, probably everybody in here was around in the late 80s. And so, yeah, that was a big deal back then. But I wanted to show you this picture. This was a not great, kind of grainy newspaper picture, and there's no names attached or anything. And so it's not any kind of doxing. But I want you to look at this because this is the kids. I mean, and it doesn't show their bodies, but I just wanted it to be real. I just wanted it to be that it's not just a story. There were real children. Look at those babies. Look at them. Every one of them just precious. This one over here on the end just looks so sad. It just breaks my heart. Ugh. I think I'm gonna have that picture. I'm gonna print it and I'm gonna put it in a frame and I'm gonna put it on my desk and just that right there is reason to fight cults, y'all. That right there. Yeah, a new band name unlocked. Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. Okay, so we got that part. Okay. Now we're going to look into the raid and investigation. And as you can see, I'm kind of going fast with this because there's really not enough information to be, make it into like a story. I just kind of have to tell, and I could have just popped up the slides, but I wanted to, tell a little bit about stuff. Oh my goodness, this my nose, y'all. Anyway, so the raid and investigation and what triggered, because I can't remember if I wrote that down. What triggered the raid was the stuff that they found in the arrest in Tallahassee. The stuff that they found in that van that no charges were brought against was bad enough that it triggered them doing 3 raids, 2 in Washington, D.C., and 1 in, um, Virginia. So and it was the FBI, the CIA, the state police, the county, the local police. They came in on those 3 properties like crazy, okay? They came in there crazy. So, anyway. Oh, and customs. Sorry. So the FBI, customs, local cops, they raided 2 DC properties and a Virginia farm, seizing computers, photos, and cult ritual items. They said cult ritual, not me. I put everything that they said in quotation marks. So, Washington, D.C. Police Chief Maurice Turner Jr. stated, "At this point, we have not found any materials that would initially corroborate allegations of satanic rituals." I found that with archive.org. And that's what I mean, is there's just like oddball quotes in there. There's not stories. There's just oddball quotes. And then like I had to like put that quote into the AI deal and try to get that to tell me more. Okay. And it says, yet the UPI reported at least 2 children showed signs of sexual abuse. Those charges were dropped 6 weeks later, no criminal evidence found. How do you show signs of sexual abuse and then just nothing? I mean, I know that it could be proven that, it didn't happen or whatever, but wouldn't you want to get that information out? Like if somebody accused me of that and then they found out that I for sure didn't do it, yeah, nothing to see here, move along. Yeah. I would want that to be the headline for the next 6 months or a year, maybe 10 years, that and this is how we came to that conclusion. Anyway, so why the properties was raided, that was because they found stuff, in that van. And what was found in the raids, I think I've got that one already geared up. Oh, no, I don't. Do I? No, I don't, but we will get that one. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna get some of these off of the screen, and we're gonna find out that. It just takes a minute to about clicked Mischief off of the screen. She'd be mad. Okay, hold on. Okay, now we're ready. Sorry, guys. So I need number 6. Oh, yeah, here we go. So what they found in the raid, what they reportedly found in the raid at the DC warehouse, which is because there were like 3, there was a warehouse of like a different property, and then there was a farm in Virginia. Okay. At the DC warehouse, computers with messages referring to acquisition and trading of children. Let that sink in. Computers with messages referring to acquisition and trading of children. Photographs of children, including some nude. Evidence of telex communications with foreign countries. At the Virginia farm, a goat carcass. Burial pits described by custom agents as potentially ritualistic. Clothing and children's toys, allegedly documents referring to child trafficking routes, though that was never confirmed. And that was from a U.S. Customs memo by Special Agent Ramon J. Martinez that David was talking about in 1987. And it was reported in the United Press International, which is the UPI that I mentioned earlier. I meant to say what that was and didn't do it. I figured out, or I remembered I didn't say what it was after I got a little bit past it. So anyway, why it shocked the public? Well, all of this, right? Is it any wonder that it really shocked the public? I mean, I'm from the country, y'all, so the goat carcass didn't shock me as much as the rest of it. It really didn't. And even the burial pits, because you want to bury those carcasses, because otherwise, if you've got dogs or any, they're going to get dug up. So I get that part. It's, odd, but I do get it. I'm going to turn this off so I can see the end of these. Okay. Why it shocked the public. The raids created a media frenzy. Okay. Coming at the height of the satanic panic era. Despite disturbing evidence, no charges stuck. Prosecutors later concluded that the photos were not pornographic, and the group's lifestyle was eccentric but not criminal. That lists the sources on that one too. So I'm like, okay, sure. Okay, now we're going to look at a couple others. I like it that I've got it just like this, because this is, let them tell the story. Oh, goodness. Number 7. Okay, now this is just kind of some information, okay? Officially, the finders were never classified as a cult by the U.S. government, law enforcement, or any formal agency. However, many media outlets, and by the way, back up to that other one where it said it created a media frenzy. Remember that? I've got a picture of the articles that I could find. I'll show you here in a little bit. And they just, a couple of things replayed the same pictures or different pieces of the same, but you can't find anything. So something is not right. A media frenzy? I mean, by then you would have had I mean, TV news would have been all over it. Even the internet was starting. So anyway, it says many media outlets, law enforcement officers, and cult experts have described them as cult-like based on their hierarchical structure. Oh, isolationist beliefs, unconventional child rearing practices. Can you imagine? Those kids lived outside. It was Washington, D.C. and Virginia in stuff that was kind of like a tent. That was the closest they could come to it. It was not like even outbuildings. And they had extreme control under a single charismatic leader, which was Marion Petty. And I could only find one picture of him. I found some others that I know were him, a couple, but I didn't want to show them. I'm going to show the one, but I didn't want to show them because I can't prove it's him, so I'm just not going to go down that route. So yeah, to Russia and China in 1987. Yeah, why they're often called a cult. Leadership control. Marion Petty was referred to by members as the game caller and allegedly controlled members' lives down to sleep schedules, romantic choices, and parenting decisions. When they call him the game caller, what is that they the shot caller? They'll call a shot caller in prison, and that's what it reminded me of. Every time I read game caller, I thought of shot caller because people thought he was saying shock caller, but it was shot caller. Anyway, and that is sourced by the FBI vault files and this Robert Toby Terrell and interviews with former members. So, children rearing in isolation. Children were often separated from their mothers at 2 years old. 2. Okay. Others, or they lived outside without typical hygiene or socialization. They were raised like little animals. And I don't mean that ugly because of the earlier reference to the Indians on the plains. The Indians on the plains lived with their mamas and their daddies in those teepees. They weren't just a bunch of kids thrown out there. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a shot caller though. Like a caller, like a CALLER. Now I'm just going by what Brett said because everybody said shot caller and he said no, shot caller, like they called the shots. Yeah. So anyway, and they weren't socialized at all. They said these kids were like little animals. Okay. Taught survival and games instead of traditional education. Yeah, these kids that were 11, they couldn't read, write, nothing. I mean, it was crazy. Sad crazy. And let's see, we got another one. And then yeah, so they had an insular philosophy. The finders operated with their own currency, their own rules, own schooling and social dynamics, deliberately detached from societal norms. We raise children as Indians on the plain, wild and free, said George Petty, Marion's son. And that was a Washington City paper in 1997. Or it says we raised, sorry. Ritualistic language and secrecy. Investigators found coded messages, manuals for acquisition of children, and a document titled Pentagon Break-In Game. And that comes from the U.S. Customs report. While much of this was dismissed as eccentric or theatrical, it reinforced the perception of a clandestine, doctrine-heavy group, hallmarks of cult typology. Why it wasn't formally declared a cult. The U.S. doesn't have a legal definition of cult under the federal law, which is true. No formal charges of abuse or trafficking stuck. Many of the group's activities, though unusual or disturbing, weren't illegal. It just, I don't know. What about child neglect? What about child abuse? I just, I don't get that one, but that's what it says. So let's get rid of that. Okay. So a confidential source said in court, or in court documents, sorry, that the finders used brainwashing and promising or and rituals to promise recruits financial reward and sexual gratification. But a spokesman, R. Gardner Terrell, he would have been with that other Terrell guy. Sounds like a big bunch of family people, connected by family, defended the group. And he said, "We are a rational people, not devil worshippers or child molesters." Sure, buddy. These children were not hungry. There was always food available. Food available where? Outside or inside where the adults were? He explained the goat slaughtering, which was a suspected ritual, was a good learning experience akin to farming lessons, which I get that, but still, I don't think 2-year-olds needed to be there. Police Chief Scott Hunt said the children did not participate in the killing of the goats, but they were present when it happened and present for the um, butchering. Anyway, so now we've got another one real quick. We're getting close to the end of this. I'm going to talk about CIA cover up stuff. Okay. Joseph Clement's 1993 report, he claimed the investigation was declared a CIA internal matter suggesting federal interference. The CIA's official response, CIA spokesperson David Christian stated that the only ties were Isabel Petty's former employment and the use of Future Enterprises Inc., a CIA contractor where group members worked as part-time accountants. The DOJ investigation, Congress and the Justice Department, I was going to say Department of Justice because, probed the case post 1993 and concluded there was no evidence of CIA obstruction or involvement. FBI declassified documents in 2019, the FBI released hundreds of pages revealing extensive evidence searches, but no proof of trafficking or CIA run operations. So, anyway, in 1993, conspiracy rumors said that the CIA shut down the case to protect a secret training operation, and one Finders member worked for the Future Enterprises connected to CIA training. Okay. But the DOJ probe found no proof of any kind of CIA interference. Leaked FBI note said. It said note, but then it also said that it was a audio. Okay. But whatever it was, it said, and it was between the FBI and the CIA. So the CIA sent this to the FBI. It says, "You're treading on our toes. We have an agent assigned to the case." It just seems a little suspicious. So, anyway, the legacy and lessons. Today, the Finders are often cited as patient zero of modern trafficking conspiracies. Think QAnon and Pizzagate, that kind of stuff. But also, like the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. So, you can find a little bit of information if you look into patient zero You can find a little bit. So if anybody's interested in going back and finding more. So anyway, there's just a couple things that I want to show. Nine. Okay, disillusion and exodus. Following the I cannot talk. I can say Tallahassee, and I don't know why. I've said it wrong every time, I think. Following the Tallahassee incident, most women and children left the group, specifically or significantly, sorry, weakening its structure. By 1995, former members had filed a lawsuit seeking their share of roughly $2 million in group assets, property, and cash. That's a lot of money if there's only like 20. Well, I don't even know how many were left at that point, but the most there were at their peak was 27 between adults and children. So, a couple $1 million back in 1995, that's a lot of money back then. So, according to former members Robert Toby Terrell, the Finders largely disbanded and Pettit became more authoritarian. By 1996, only about 8 active members remained. Declassified documents and public interest. In 2019, the FBI released around 300 pages of declassified documents on the Finders, sparking renewed public curiosity. These files showed internal investigations, internal meaning in the CIA, property and business records, but again, no evidence of tracking, Satanism, or CIA espionage. No active operation today. The group is believed to have fully disbanded after Pettit's death in 2003, with former members stating, "You won't hear from the Finders again until far off future events." No modern footprint exists. No active websites, communities, or new reported activities. Good for them. And okay. So, legacy and cultural impact. The Finders were considered a precursor to modern satanic panic era cult legends, alongside stories of Epstein, Pizzagate, and deep state myths. The name remains one of the most requested among FBI vault files. Experts and skeptical journalists say that they'd love you to think that they, the CIA, okay, to think that they're CIA, but they're nothing. Okay. So the immediate aftermath, women and children left, charges dropped, the legal action, former members sued for group assets. In the late 1990s, only 8 members reportedly remained. 2003 onward, Petty, sorry, died and the group dissolved. Today, no active operations, blah, blah, blah. Legacy continues as a mystic case in conspiracy lore, sorry. So that's just weird. Okay, I have one more thing to show, and then we're going to just talk, guys. We're going to talk about it a little bit. This was basically the pictures I could find. So, not a whole lot, right? And it doesn't really tell who's what. This is what it was. I didn't take these pictures off of something. This was what it was. There's no explanation of what the pictures are. This is that Petty guy. Those are the kids again. Here's the kids this one's got their names, but this was a newspaper article. There's the kids again. I mean, there's the kids again. It's just crazy. That's the 2 that got arrested in the in Tallahassee. Yeah. Yeah, crazy, right? So, to fact Check the summary. The commune existed. Yes. Children were removed. Yes. Goats butchered. Yes, but it's apparently for agricultural purposes. Abuse or trafficking, no substantial evidence. Charges dropped. Yes. CIA cover up, no proof. So, y'all, I've got some questions and y'all can just answer. Yeah, there used to be more information. You are correct, David. I'm sure there was a lot of. Um, I even talked to a couple of my newspaper friends that have been in the newspaper business for 100 years, and I got a hold of. I mean, I know it wasn't in Oklahoma, but these people, these old time newspaper people, they follow all that stuff. And I even got a hold of the former president of Oklahoma Press Association and talked to him, and he said that there used to be more. Uh, he told me a little bit, but even he wanted to be off the record. So, yeah, I don't know. It is just so bizarre. I think that people get really scared anytime you start talking about, CIA and FBI and all the ABC agencies, right? So, anyway, I'm just gonna I've got 4 questions here, and I just wanted to ask, and y'all can answer any or all or none. So, number 1, do you all think it was a cult? Number 2, do you think the CIA covered it up? Number 3, how do they just ignore starving kids with and, traveling with these nicely dressed men with no documentation about who these kids are, and they're taking them to Mexico to a school? And just the other ones, just what's your thoughts? Oh, why? I would just, love to hear your thoughts. And I'm thinking that the yes is probably, do you think they're a cult? Yes. Do you think the CIA covered it up? Yes. I don't see any no's yet. So, nose. For this nose, it's itching like crazy. Ugh. Oh, what's number 3? How do you think that they ignored the starved kids that were with those nicely dressed men that didn't have any documentation but said that they were taking them to a school in Mexico? So, yeah, that's what number 3 was. And then just what's your thoughts? I just want to hear y'all's thoughts on it cuz I pretty much was going to hold mine back and then I just blurted a bunch of it out, didn't I? So I'm going to go to the starred comments and mischief if they, start having comments about it, go ahead and star those too. We're doing pretty good on time. Rocking it out for life is doing her kitchen remodel tomorrow and Saturday. Wow. Wow, a mini commercial kitchen. I had in my tea room that's about the size of our kitchen, and we turned it into a commercial kitchen. It's doable. You got to know how to use that space, but it's doable. Now, I did have one separate room that had was a giant pantry, and the freezer was in there, but everything else was in that one little room. Yeah, that trio makes me sick to my stomach. I wish that they would go back under their bridge. Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know, maybe I'm turning into a conspiracy nut like my dad. Guess I need my tinfoil hat. I don't think you need one on this one. I think that it's, you know, yeah, scrubbed. I agree, man. Um, I think it would be hard to not think it. Unless, I mean, some people might know more information than what I could find because, if you knew about it back then. So, whoops. Yeah, Mischief says CIA covering something up? Never. Yes. Amen. They get the trophy today. The bystander that said something gets the trophy today. They don't even know we exist, but I mean, it did eventually get shut down because of it. The moms took their kids and left. So I mean that is a plus that probably wouldn't have happened had they not been stopped. I mean, those kids was headed to Mexico. And they were not going to a school. Yeah, I thought this too. I wondered if anybody else did. Data analyst cult members in the 1980s is a bit odd too. Yeah. Yes, another one. Invisible Bank. Mischief says cover up. Yeah, Mischief. Yeah. They sent them back. Yeah. They did find child porn and other proof, but yeah, they said it wasn't pornographic. And I'm sorry. Pictures of naked kids. I mean, I know that like sometimes moms they'll take pictures of their baby's little naked butt and stuff like that, but I just don't think that's what this was. I don't think that's what it was. These weren't moms that were raising their kids like that and, giving them baths and toys and all that and taking a picture in the bath, but making sure that all the bubbles covers up anything important. I know moms have done that. I've done it. Oh yeah. I gotta write something down real fast because I have something I have to tell Marilyn later. And it just popped into my head. I'm sorry. It's nothing big. Just a thing I've got to remember. And for some reason it popped in my head. Weird. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna pop this one up. I asked my brother why there were so many sickos nowadays. Hello, said there's always been a lot of sickos. The only difference is social media. You're right. Your brother is right. I think that that's the same thing with why do we hear so much about like breast cancer and a bunch of stuff. It's just that with so much more, we have so much more available, ways of finding that stuff out. Aw, hold on. Mare says that bottom center one looks like I did at that age. Mm. Mischief says, this is making me angry. I know it was. I could see you down there just fuming. Yeah, intentional trafficking. Yeah. That's what I thought too. Yeah. Yeah, to Russia and China in 1987. Oh, yeah. Mayor says this crap has been going on for centuries. The internet is shining a light on the dirty little secrets. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see here. We got shock collar, mock baller, clock baller. Y'all are crazy. Yeah. Internet was not really in the civilian world until 1990. But apparently they had it. Yeah. It was definitely in the corporate world. Yeah, and they were in the corporate world too, so hawk baller, dock crawler. At the age of 6, I learned how to skin a rabbit. Darcy's, yep, yep. Oh, I know. Rural kids and, country kids, that kind of thing. We learn a lot of stuff, a lot sooner than, and even other kids might not ever. Yeah. Yeah, I saw this. It's just gone from memory. It's wild. It is just crazy. Darcy says, culty cult cover up. Mare says, big time cover uppy. I agree. Y'all, it is. Now get down. My dog is. You're all wet. You're going to get mommy wet. Is daddy home? And no? Well, maybe by the chickens. It's probably by the chickens. He always sprays her with the water hose and then she comes in and jumps in my lap. I'm just like, ugh. Mare says, "Even the cult my mom joined has information online, and it was shut down in the '50s." I know, right? I mean, you can get information on cults and stuff, but you even suspected cults. But you can't get stuff on them. Yeah. I'm looking up through here to see if anybody doesn't think that it's a yeah, a conspiracy, that doesn't think that it was a cover up and a cult. David says monsters at work. Yeah. Number 3, how do you think they ignored the starving kids? It says because they're bastards. That was mischief. Tell us how you really feel, mischief. Oh. Aw, thank you. Your thoughts or thank you for platforming this subject. Thank you. I'm glad. And seriously, guys, if you come up with something you want me to look into, it took me about 3 weeks to get to David's request, but I did, and I tried to let him know if I would think about it. I'd be like, "I'm looking, I'm doing it, I'm doing it." I'm just, I wanted to be able to look into it good. Now, I didn't sit for 12 hours straight, but I did probably sit for a couple of days ago, I probably sat for a good 7 hours straight, and I had also looked other times too, but I probably sat for a good 7 hours straight. And then I would go out to the pool and I'd lay on my floaty and I would run this through my mind trying to connect the dots kinda deal. And I mean, some of it you can, but it's like, those little games that kids play with all the numbers that form a picture and you go from 1 to 2 to 3 all the way around and it outlines a picture, right? Well, it was like that this one would be like 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 would be gone. Finally, you'd find 5, and you would 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12 be gone, and you finally you might pick up at 20, and that's how it felt with this. It was like that no matter what you did, like, you would go so far and you'd think, "Oh, I'm on a roll. I'm actually getting somewhere." And, and then the next thing you know, it was just you were at a dead end again, which I actually love. I hate it that it's that way. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely hate it. I wish everything was out there and we could, know about all of it. But yeah. Yeah. Laughing at my dog. Yes, that was Mags. Yes. She's so big now. Like she weighs like 45 pounds or something. She's huge, like 35, 45 pounds. I can't remember. It was 35 or 45. But anyway, she's big and rotten, completely rotten. She knows how to sit. She knows how to shake. She knows how to steal coffee. I left my coffee cup sitting the other day and she pulled a Charlie because Charlie had done that before where I came back and the coffee was empty and the muzzle was wet and brown and smelled like coffee. So I sent her to Vetta's. I said, "You can go over and play with Vetta now that you've had a freaking cup of crazy strong coffee." So, yeah, connect the dots. Thank you, Mischief. Yeah, I could not remember. Yeah, she is a mini. My full size is like 65 pounds. So I think she's around probably 40. I don't know. Mark said she was 35 or 45. I can't remember what he said, but I'm going to guess around 40. Yeah, she outweighs your granddaughter. She outweighs Vetta too. And Vetta picks her up and puts her up on my bed all the time. And she's bigger than Vetta. So, mm. So what is today? This is Thursday, right? So yeah, tomorrow we're not on till 8 o'clock, my time, Central Time. Oh, your cat Larry steals coffee too. It was funny. I'm gonna get Vetta to. I'll get her to record it because I was sitting on my bed. We were looking at stuff. Me and Vetta are into butterflies, and so I had ordered like some butterfly nets and like a little habitat thing. Those little look like a clothes hamper that's mesh. That you can put the butterflies in it and all this stuff. Well, it came yesterday. So I had it sitting on my bed, and I was sitting on the bed opening all this and showing Vetta, and, "Oh, yeah, your new only weighs 150." "Yeah." My daughter had a Saint Bernard that was over 200. So, well over 200. So, but anyway, so Veta was up there and she brought me I asked her if she'd bring me one of my cans of coffee. So, she brought it to me, and Mags was literally she would put her mouth on it. I had my hand around it like this. Her mouth would come down and grab it and pull it out of my hands and not break the can. She didn't poke holes in the can. And she did it like 3 times, and I was cracking up so much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get her to do it again tomorrow and get her to and if she does, if we get it on video, I'll play it because she is freaking hilarious. But I'm telling you, these dogs. The other one night, Mark brought home McDonald's, and he had brought him 2 of the little double cheeseburgers, like the little kids ones, but doubles, and he had them in the bag still. And there was those and a deal of french fries. I was having soup, so I had some soup. I didn't want anything from McDonald's. So anyway, Duke, the full size Australian Shepherd, opens the bag while Mark goes to the bathroom. Okay. And he was just in there long enough. He just peed. He didn't. So he went in to go pee and wash his hands because he'd been outside. And so Duke opens the bag, which is just crushed down. It wasn't like stapled or anything. It was just crushed down. Well, anyway, so he opens it, got past those french fries, grabbed one of those burgers, and took off with it and ate it. Well, Mark comes in there and he thought, "Is that bag open?" I thought I had it closed. But he looks inside, he sees one burger and the french fries. Well, he pulls everything out and he says, "They only gave me one of the burgers." And he's like, "Well, I probably didn't need both of them anyway." And, he's like, you know, whatever. And so I'm hearing some kind of noise. I hear this crinkly noise. So I look under my bed and there's Duke eating that other hamburger and he's crinkling. He's opened it up, didn't even tear the paper. He opened it up very nicely and ate the burger. So then I had to watch him because it had onions on it. And, onions aren't good for dogs. So I was afraid he's going to get sick. He didn't get sick. He was fine. But anyway, I got that paper away from him and I went and took it back to Mark. And he goes, "Well, that's probably an old one." I said, "I think I would know if there was a hamburger package under our bed." I said, "I run the vacuum and everything. I would know." And we haven't had McDonald's in forever. But anyway, yeah, it was still warm and still had like ketchup on it where I'd gotten it away from the dog. So he had a little double cheeseburger that night. Our dogs are brats. I'm telling you, the bulldog, she's the least brat, but she makes a whole lot better wall than she does a door. Because she will just like she walks in front of you and she turns that head and she looks like a noodle. She can't bend real good, but she kind of curves a little bit and she's like looking back at you to see where you're at. And she might just flop down and lay down in front of you while you're walking. And you're just like about to fall over the tub of lard. She's a pain in the butt. So yeah, we have Poppy and Mags and Duke. We had Hollis, but he was a little multipoo, but he died. He was an old little guy. A little old man. Your sister's doofus cat eats plastic, Mare. Yeah, keep my shorts. I kind of want a hamburger or a cheeseburger now too. Yeah, rest in peace, Hollis. He was my love bug. I just loved him. I really did. I actually had to not do a couple of shows because I couldn't get over when he died. You can ask Mischief. I kind of lost it for a while. It was bad. So anyway, guys, we've been about an hour and 20 minutes right at. So yeah, with deal hot sauce. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, that does sound good. Hmm. Well, tomorrow's Friday. Me and Mark usually go eat on Friday. So maybe instead of Mexican food, I'll have him get me a burger. Yes, pets are awesome. They sure are. So anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry I couldn't get you more information than I did, David. I tried. I truly did. I'm gonna keep an eye on it though, and see if anything else comes up because other countries or whatever, or somebody kind of like an imitation kind of deal. They always have groups that kind of spring up that imitate groups and stuff. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out. And if anybody sees anything you want me to look into, let me know. I love that kind of stuff. So I might not get it immediately, but I will get it. Yeah, please hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Much love to you too, Pete. Much love to you. Everybody here is awesome. So I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all.